My name is Michael Blodgett, and I'm the marketing manager here at OneDay. I've been on the marketing team for almost a year now, and prior to OneDay, I worked with in the property management software industry, along with legal consulting and environmental consulting. So now Christy and Craig can share their video. There we go. I'm going to pass the mic over to Craig to introduce himself, and then we'll go over to Christy. So Craig, the floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Craig Branstad. I'm a solutions architect with G5. I've been working in the digital marketing space, specifically focused in senior living for going on 7 years now. So for tech industry type stuff, might as well be about 50 years. So I'm really excited to be here to talk about this topic. I think this is an important topic for us all to embrace and think about and discuss. And so I'm looking forward to a great webinar today.
And I am Christy Westhuizen. I'm with MBK Senior Living. I've been here just shy of 2.5 years, but prior to MBK, I was with Integral Senior Living for about 10 years. So I have almost 13 years in the senior living space, but in sales, I've been in sales for almost 20 years. So yes, I did start as a 2-year-old in the sales industry. Just kidding. I wish. Anyway, I'm real excited to be here. So thank you, Michael, for inviting me. I'm happy to represent MBK as well as a provider's viewpoint. I think that's going to be really helpful for some of the people on this webinar.
100%. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So glad to have this crew together to present today. We had fun meeting up and chatting through this topic. So it's a fun group and we're excited to share with y'all. So you may have noticed I'm not sharing my screen anymore and there's not a big slideshow in front of you. That's because this webinar is 100% panel style. We're going to be going through some key questions with Christy and hopefully fielding some questions from you all. So our goal for today is to really walk through the different stages of the senior living buyer's journey. It's adapted and shifted and adapted again over the past year, I'm sure as all of y'all have seen, and just really share some of the tactics and techniques that you can use to really, like the title says, reimagine your buyer's journey for your prospective residents. So over the next 40 minutes, we're going to dive in and discover how Christy and her phenomenal team at MBK are really leaning into this increasingly digital buyer's journey, and really dive into the moments where we realize that we need to meet these seniors and their loved ones where they are with the right message at the right time. So anyway, the format we're going to have is split into 5 buyer's journey stages, the 5 touch points in the title: awareness, interest, consideration, decision, and advocacy. But before we jump into the first stage, you're going to see a quick poll pop up on your screen just to gauge where we're feeling here. Of the 5 stages, just want to know, which one are y'all most interested in learning about today? It's fine if there are multiple, just pick the one you're most interested in. For the marketing folks, it may be more on the awareness side. For the sales folks, it might be more on the consideration decision. For the activity directors, the executive directors, it might be more on the advocacy side once someone's already moved in. So we're gonna let these answers filter in. Awesome, almost everyone's voted so far. All right, so let's just look at these results now. We have, let's see, here we go. Most everyone wants to know about the decision stage. That's crazy. 40%, then consideration with 23%, interest with 21%. Well, great news. Everyone who voted, we're going to cover every single stage. So stay tuned. We got some good content coming up. So the first stage is awareness. So for all the variations of the marketing funnel, whatever the industry you're in, no matter the industry or target market, it's going to start with awareness. So for senior living, it's at this stage where the potential resident or adult child becomes aware of your community or your brand. So it's super important for you to develop your digital presence, so your prospects are really aware of your community and what really sets it apart from the competition. So jumping in, Christy, let's zoom in on the awareness stage. What does the awareness stage look like for MBK Senior Living?
I think there's a lot of different parts of that awareness stage. I think my favorite part of the awareness stage is utilizing social media to really showcase what lifestyle is like and to entice people to be more interested in true senior living, because gone are the skilled nursings and assisted livings being, I hope that it's gone, that we're being lumped together. And I think that that is a great way to show that differentiation of the two. So again, social media is my favorite. I'm very active on social media too. So that's a really big key factor, I think, of the awareness stage. And then, but not only that, but it is a lot of internet presence. So we utilize G5. And so we're really looking at the analytics. We look at the impact of video through social media too, and that's through Rep and Social with G5. So that's really critical for us to understand, okay, what posts do have what analytics and what videos have what analytics as well. So we're really looking at the analytics of social media too. It's not just fun and games as much as I may want it to be, it really is strategic. And then we also spend a really good amount of time and effort into organic search results, as well as Google AdWords, paid media, and then Google My Business too, because that can affect your SEO results as well. So I think I work with an amazing team here at MBK. They are absolute marketing gurus. And I feel like I get some of their marketing juju through osmosis. So we do spend a good amount of time working with G5 and really maximizing our web presence, and that's through paid and organic as well.
Awesome, love that. Yeah, so tell us more about how you're really utilizing video in the awareness stage.
Okay, so we love video at MBK. We feel like video is better than pictures, and pictures are better than just text. So we utilize video by interviewing our residents, our team members, our family members. Our president, Jeff Fisher, participates in a lot of video as well. So, and our SVP of operations, Michael, gets really involved. So we utilize it as storytelling and having people really understand the lifestyle of our communities rather than, again, just seeing a stagnant picture. So I think we utilize social media to really showcase our lifestyle through video and pictures as well.
Awesome, and that's an interesting point you brought up. It's not just a feeling video and text and pictures are better than text. There's actually a study that recently happened where it said that the average viewer remembers 95% of information when it's watching a video versus only 10% when they read it. So it's a great way to really resonate in that awareness stage where you can keep your content sticky, where it'll stick in the minds of the seniors and their loved ones when they may not be ready to move in tomorrow, but when the time comes, they'll remember that video or that blog post or the Google ad that they saw from MBK. So
I think we also spend a good amount of time creating a feeling as well. And to me, video creates feeling much more than a picture, much more than text again. So I want people to know we are an amazing company who just loves our residents and team members. And you get that much more from a video than you do from, again, from a picture or from text.
Awesome. One more question on this stage that I think someone in the audience asked, how do you know if social media is working or not?
So, I mean, we look at number of clicks, number of follow us as well. So we have newsletters. And so we want people to follow us through our newsletter, but also follow us on social media as well. I think we also do a good job at having a call to action as well. And so I think we can measure the results through calls to action. So it's not only interacting with people, but it's really causing them to take an action.
And I'd add to that, Christy, that we also want to remember what the intention is of that piece of marketing material, right? So some of your social engagement is just going to be that fun lifestyle engagement of, residents enjoying themselves in the community. So that may be measured in a different way through likes or shares or something of that nature. Whereas if you're pushing a branding message or a campaign out there on the social platform, you may want to measure that with what you said, Christy, that call to action or getting that follow or seeing that user come from that social path onto your website and then continue down that sales funnel. So that's that buyer's journey, right? We want to understand the intention of each of our marketing materials.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any of y'all have anything else to share before we move on to the next stage?
I just think awareness is how people find us
Mm-hmm.
and get to know us just that little bit so they take that next step. And I feel like that next step is that interest phase that we're going to talk about.
Sweet. Well, some great words of wisdom there. I'm going to pass it to Craig now to walk through the next stage of the buyer's journey, which is interest. Go ahead, Craig.
Perfect. So perfect little segue, almost like we planned our content accordingly. Because here we are. We've done the first part of the work, which is to create awareness about our brand or our community. Christy, what you just touched upon is this sort of ecosystem of digital marketing, right? So within inside of our ecosystem, we now have to have content that's engaging, right? Our prospective residents and their families are interested in our community. So they're in this stage of education, right? This is when our website really starts to function as a marketing tool. We want to provide them with the materials to learn about care levels, to learn about the services we provide, learn about our safety protocols. Obviously, this last year was a huge shift in the world. And now we need to start thinking about, well, how do we market our safety protocols and what we do if there happens to be an infectious disease or whatever it may be, right? So all these materials, the prospective resident is still very top of funnel, and they're collecting information that's going to eventually lead them down to the next phase where they're going to start making their decisions and their considerations. So with that all said, Christy, how has MBK reimagined the interest or the education stage of the buyer's journey?
Content, and did I mention content? Yep. As fresh and as relevant as we can make it. So we feel like we are putting out so much content. It almost feels daily. And that's through a lot of different mediums, but we want to make sure that we are educating our prospects and meeting them where they are. I know that, again, that's really part of this webinar, is really figuring out where they are in their journey and meeting them there and giving them the tools to help them through the journey and help them be more educated on assisted living or memory care options or independent living options, and why our company is different than anyone else. And so I think content is key. So again, not just written content, but I love written content, but it's picture content and it's video content as well. So again, content is really key in this stage because it sets us apart as experts in senior living. And I think that that is what a lot of people are looking for, is they're looking for someone who can educate them and hold their hand through the process. And so content for us is the easiest way to get ahead of that.
Yeah, that makes sense there. Christy, I know you've heard me say this, but we like to think about as presenting the right marketing message to the right prospective resident at the right time, right? Google says that they're going to have, I think it's somewhere between 18 and 22 different digital touch points. And each different touch point, potentially requires a different marketing message depending upon what they're interested in and, what stage they are in the buyer funnel. And I like what you said about keeping that content fresh, but I do also think that there is we don't want to lose track of some of the cornerstones of our content, right? We do need to provide those programs and those service levels and what that means to us as a brand and how we do that at our community. And then you layer in the freshness, right? The constantly changing, the speaking to your new users or your new prospective residents. So those like cornerstone versus the freshness of it creates a really cohesive content strategy. So I like that. And with that then, Christy, so we talked about, maybe different mediums or different content solutions, if you will, to help educate your prospective residents. What are some of those pieces of content that you've found to have some success?
So we're currently undergoing a website redesign right now. And a lot of that is, again, video, great pictures, and really great content. So we're creating this kind of knowledge library as we speak of, okay, you're looking for financial options. Boom, go to this page and read all the financial options. But there's a call to action on that financial options page for them to take that next step with us so we can help them through the journey. So that's really important for us, is just, again, to meet them where they are and then provide an avenue for them to get connected with us so we can help them through it. I think there's also, we utilize a lot of different techniques for communicating with our prospects, even before they reach out to us, or fill out that contact us form where we can reach out to them. So we have rubric on our websites. That's our on our corporate website, as well as all of our 33 communities. We also use site staff 24/7 live chat on our websites too, so people can get a live representative of MBK Senior Living to help them through the journey. And they're really great at being very empathetic and meeting them where they are. And then we also use Talk Further through for our virtual sales assistant too, to give really quick answers and photos and information to people who don't want to necessarily talk to a live person, but they need the information right there. So we have 3 different ways of having those connections with prospects before they even press the contact us button, and then we're reaching out to them. And that was really important when I came to MBK, is lead generation was a big focus. And figuring out, okay, what other tools do we need in order to meet prospects and have them interested in us and take that next step. So those are 3 techniques that I recommend that everyone look into, because it really has helped our lead generation volume, as well as getting to know our prospects a little bit better before we even contact them.
Yeah, and I love that, Christy, having that sort of that 3-pronged approach. We've already talked about it a bunch of like meeting our prospective residents where they are. So if they want to chat with someone, let's have that avenue for them. If they want to explore the website, let's make sure that the website is built and in an effective way, right? Because we know that, again, the website is oftentimes your first marketing tool. So we want to present that content to them that is not in a mysterious way. They don't have to hunt and peck for what they're looking for. There's a science to building to building these websites, and the reason why we want to do it, so that we understand where the user is going and we're not hiding everything for them. Give them really good, clear paths, right?
Right. And that's why I believe in putting our starting at rates on the website. Yeah. I just really feel very passionate that it shouldn't be like a maze to get to know what a studio or a 1-bedroom cost is. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's important that we educate them. It's not necessarily, okay, this is your rent only pays for the apartment. Your rent actually pays for 15 other things. That's on us to educate. But I do believe that it's important for us not to be seen as mysterious, and keeping our prices close to our vest, because I want to be able to be as informative and as transparent as possible to our prospects who may be going through a really challenging time in their life.
Yeah, and I love to hear you say that, because that's some of the cutting edge strategy that I think our senior living industry as a whole is missing out on. We have to think about who our users are today, the adult child, right? We know the typical demographic is the adult daughter, right? That's searching. Well, that person expects a certain type of internet experience. And think about just the way you use the internet today, right? When you're shopping for something now, I'm not going to say that it's a much more high value decision to figure out the next step in life for mom and dad or for yourself than it is to buy, a pair of shoes or something like that. But with that said, the expectation of the user is that they're going to be educated about our services and what we have to offer. And included in that is a ballpark pricing, so they can start to self-qualify. And this is that idea of like, if you have the right content out there, you can really hone in to find those qualified leads that then allow your sales consultants to work it effectively, because they're kind of weeding out the white noise, because the user's already doing that themselves by engaging with your content. So that's a really important, I talk about that a lot with a lot of clients at G5, like, let's put some ballpark price on the website. Let's not be scared about it, because it's going to educate your user and your prospective residents. So when they do hit the sales consultant knows that they are actually interested in the community, right? And then you educate on the add-ons and go from there. So I love to hear you say that.
Just think about the home buying process. You don't go on Zillow and you don't even know what a house costs and you click on it. You need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
are you in the 2 million ballpark? Are you in the 200,000 ballpark? Like, come on now. So I do believe that people are more savvy and want more information before they even connect with us.
Yep. We as an industry are not immune to the changing search behaviors of resident or prospective residents online, when we have to stay up with that. Otherwise, we'll continue to lag behind. So great. Thank you for expanding on that, Christy. I think we're going to move now that we've gained some awareness, we've educated them. Now this buyer has entered into a third phase, the consideration.
Ooh.
I know we're getting down the buyer's journey here. This is great.
I know. It's my sales juju going.
Right. We almost have a resident here.
Nice. Love it. So once that lead has shown that initial interest, they're going to move on to the consideration stage, and things can get a little technical here. We're going to go through like the best ways to respond once you get that contact us form filled out. What are some of the ways that really can set your community apart from the others? So at this stage, the resident or adult child has really defined the goal or the challenge they have, and they're committed to addressing it. So zooming back a little bit, this is why it's so helpful to have all the information you need on your website for them, because you're able to track whether it's the blog articles they look at, which videos they've watched. Your sales consultants are already armed with knowing what challenges or goals that they have as they move through the process. So jumping in here with the consideration stage, what does MBK do to really set themselves apart once an inquiry is submitted, Christy?
Ooh, so speed to lead is really important. And this goes for any kind of prospect or prospective family member that reaches out to us, whether it's through a third-party website, or it's through our website, or again, it's somehow we receive information that someone's looking at senior living options. And we are being considered. So speed to lead is incredibly important. I believe personalization is extremely important too. So it's not, hopefully long gone are the days of the cookie cutter emails that say, hi, I'm Christy from MBK. Here's the laundry list of things that my community has to offer. We have a pool and a jacuzzi and this. Hopefully we're not doing that, because we really need to find out what's important to that person in their journey. And so I think the best way to do that is to ask questions and do really good discovery, and then tailor what you're sending and what you're suggesting based on that personalization that you found out about. However, we've started utilizing OneDay to do our introductory video to the prospect. So again, hi, I'm Christy from MBK. I understand you inquired through a place for mom, and you say a couple things that are key to that person, and then ask when is a great time to speak, or even come in for a tour as well. So we utilize video as that initial touch point from us too, because again, kind of going back to that interest phase, as well as that, that very, very beginning stage of the awareness, we want the feeling. And it's hard to get a feeling from a text-only email listing 5 bullet points about your community. But imagine that touch point being a personalized video right to you, Michael. That to me means that the person has taken time to get to know or really want to know what is important to you. So we utilize that as our first touch point. And we also have an autoresponder email that we created with Jeff and Michael, who are our leadership team at MBK. And that autoresponder gets sent to anyone who inquires through our website as well, thanking them for looking at our communities, and that someone will be reaching out really soon from the community to help lead them through the process. So those are just 2 ways that we've used video, and we've been very happy with the results as well.
I love that. Another stat to throw out here. I know I dropped some percentages earlier, but it's an eye-opening statistic here. 80% of people are more likely to purchase a product or service from companies that really personalize their marketing and sales process. Also, on the flip side, also 80%. 80% of video marketers say that video content leads directly to increased sales. So it's beneficial for the senior living community, and it's beneficial for the resident. So with those stats in mind, Christy, tell me about how MBK has really seen the power of speed to lead and personalization in the sales process. What are some of the results that you've seen for making it personalized?
Yeah, those stats don't shock me one bit, because that's what we've really seen is an increase in response and an increase in sales. So knock on wood. So March 2021, MBK had the most move-ins that we've ever had in history, and we're a 30-year-old company. We're still finalizing, we're still counting the beans for April, but we're probably going to smash that and have another record-breaking month. So all these all of these techniques that we're really integrating, with video being a really huge part of it, it does work, and it does increase sales, and it increases the feeling of being heard and being seen from the prospect's perspective, is that someone's taking the time to get to know that person. And that makes, again, we're all about feelings. It makes them feel wanted and expected when they actually do come in and visit us. So
yeah, Christy, I'd say one congratulations on that. That's great to hear that you guys are experiencing some success after some very hard and trying times in our industry.
Yeah.
But when you keep coming back to this theme of you guys are all about feeling, is this is starting to understand, and of course I know your portfolio well and know your team, so I have firsthand experience with this, but this becomes a UVP for you, right? A value prop, if you will,
Yes.
that it's part of your branding, and it starts at that awareness, and that branding is felt through every stage of this buyer's journey, and that creates cohesion, so that prospective resident, their family, start to really see that that marketing message of feeling wasn't just a one-off to get my attention. It permeates every other touch point, and then that becomes sticky to them, right? So I love to hear that the feeling isn't just thought about in one stage of the consideration, right? It's thought about at every touch point that the prospective resident might have.
Well, that is great to know that you see that and feel that, because I swear it makes me feel like I'm going to tear up a little bit, because that's very intentional.
Yeah.
It really is. And it is through every single stage of the buyer's journey. Is truly, we want them to feel loved and respected and welcomed into our family. And so thank you for saying that.
Of course.
Love that comment.
It wasn't true.
I mean, that's something that's really important, right? Like if you start on the awareness stage and they're seeing awesome videos of the resident testimonials or just resident life, and then they see great marketing information, and then once they fill out the contact us form, they get a black text on white background email with just 5 random bullet points, they're going to be like, it's not congruent with the rest of the voice and brand that they've had for the experience. So it's a really great way to just set yourself apart and from the other communities, because a lot of folks aren't just submitting that one contact us form on MBK, right? They're probably filling it out at half a dozen other places and getting the same autoresponder, probably copy pasted the same text for each one. So being the one that sticks out, being the one that really personalizes the content to them clearly pays dividends. So that's awesome, Christy. Congrats on the record-breaking months you've had.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Love that. Well, anything else y'all want to chat through on consideration before we hop over to the 4th stage?
We're just MBK, and we're really just scratching the surface with marketing automation. And so that is a big touch point for us on helping people in their different stages of their journey, giving them content that means something to them, that's relevant to them. Now, again, we're just scratching the surface, but I just want to let people know out there that it is a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's not a quick fix. I have a dear friend in the industry, and he said it took him 3 years to get all of his marketing automation to be where he wanted it to be. So if you're watching and you're really considering marketing automation, just know there's a lot of manpower that goes behind it, a lot of hours and dollars as well. And Craig, you and I have talked at length about it. But the goal is personalization, and marketing automation is a great way to do that. You just need to know, eyes wide open, going into it, that it is a really big process. And you should probably have some professional help kind of guide you through that as well. That's been a big light bulb moment for us over the past year.
Love that.
Us as well at G5, and we've explored that too, really understanding what it takes to make a successful marketing automation strategy work. Like you said, Christy, it's time and treasure that need to be devoted to getting it set up right.
But it's worth it.
It is.
But you just need to know what you're going into.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that leads us nicely again into our decision phase. So our resident is almost here. They've whittled their list down to maybe 2 or 3 communities. So now we're really getting into the nitty gritty of their process and their approach. And when we get to this stage, we start to touch on it in the consideration is one, first and foremost, we as senior living professionals never want to lose sight of the decision that these families are making, either for themselves or for a loved one or whatever the circumstance may be. We're never going to get away from that. We've talked about some technologies of like automation or, online reviews and videos and things like that's never going to replace the human to human connection that a prospective resident is going to want to feel and have someone like Christy, like how you said, hold their hand through the process. We all like to have our hand held during hard times, right? It's a human emotion. And so we're never going to get away from that in our industry. But with that said, we do have some strategies that we can deploy to help in the decision-making process. One of them being that personalization, I think is something that's very important here. But when someone is getting closer and you can feel it, that they're really debating between maybe 1 or 2 communities, and it's one of your communities, Christy, is there a certain piece of content that you've seen that's really resonated at this stage, or that you like to kind of hold in your back pocket for when the buyer does get here and you can say, okay, here's something that's really going to be impactful for you? Is there something that you guys kind of rely on?
Yeah, and it's individualized to each person.
Love it.
Yeah, because we really, again, want to meet them personally and consider them very, very important individuals. So we love to showcase our residents that hopefully make the same or have similarities, similar interests or similar backgrounds. And so we utilize video for introducing a particular resident to a particular prospective resident. And let's say the person is really, really interested in the dining experience. So maybe we find a great, whether it's a team member who's really passionate about the dining experience or a resident who enjoys the dining experience, doing a testimonial. So written, again, is great. Video is better. So we have something called the Real Residents of MBK. A little play on the Real Residents or Real Housewives of whatever. And so we'll just talk about the real life of our community and our residents. And so we'll utilize OneDay to again, personalize or ask a resident something that means something to that prospective resident. Again, it's finding similar interests, similar backgrounds, or something that the person is really interested in from a community perspective, and having a resident or team member speak to that specific thing.
Yeah, I love that. So you kind of touched on this already, but with that content and knowing that the resident to resident is a great strategy or whatever the other strategies may be, have you all deployed or found success with like some fun or creative ways to link a resident with a prospective resident, or with a sales consultant with somebody? Like, what are some fun ways that you've deployed OneDay's videos?
A lot. So one specific one that I think is really, really cool is one of our communities in Litchfield Park, Arizona, Hacienda del Rey. They have Chef Casey, who is amazing and very effervescent and vivacious, and he loves the food, but the experience. And so our director of sales, Erica, will take a video of him preparing bananas Foster. And he's talking about all the different ingredients. And so just really, really cool experiences. And then she'll utilize that to send to her prospects and say, this is not just a video that we sent to you. This is an actual dessert that our residents ate. And this is an experience that you can expect when living at Hacienda del Rey. So that is pretty cool. And I've seen lots of different other connections. So having people who grew up in the same hometown. So we have a resident who grew up in that hometown, and we have a prospective resident who grew up in that hometown. And we'll do a video of the resident talking about all the different things about the hometown. So again, it's just finding those little connection points and making videos based on that. But Chef Casey's Bananas Foster extravaganza is one of my favorites.
I've actually seen that video, and it was convincing. Building off of that, the best salespeople really are your residents at the end of the day. And this came up in one of our prep calls, but it's the whole thought of like, if you're going to a new school, you're going to the cafeteria, when you can walk in and you see someone you know or see someone you met before, and you're like, you just feel a feeling of like warmth, like, okay, I belong here. Like, okay, I have someone I can go talk to. So even just facilitating those friendships early on can be huge, and doing that through video is super helpful. So just want to throw that in there.
Great. So I think we're gonna move away from decision and into our next step. But I wanted to say,
they moved in?
They've moved in.
All right.
We've got the family is here. They're happy. They're healthy. They love their decision. Before we get to this next stage of advocacy, this is going to be my shameless plug for always measuring and looking at your analytics, because as excited as we are for this resident that just moved in, we can also learn a lot as to why someone didn't move in, right? So we want to create this loop, and we'll touch on the next talking point as well, but we want to create this loop that feeds the top of the awareness funnel, measure and adjust where we need, so that we understand who's moving in and why, and maybe just as important, if not more important, who's not moving in and why, so that we can always be adjusting to what's going on. So that's my shameless plug, to always measure, read your reports, dive into that data. Don't be afraid to get in there, because there's good things to mine out of there when you do it right. So shameless plug. But anyways, no, our resident has moved in and they're happy and they're so excited to be at our community. So now they've moved into our 5th touch point of advocacy.
Nice. And that is not a shameless plug at all. That is just words of wisdom there, Craig. So
as a data nerd on the tech side of digital marketing, I'm like,
hey,
feed me, spreadsheets and numbers, and I'll find some sort of pattern, or a machine will, and then I'll add some human context to it.
Love that. Awesome. So now we're in the final stage of the marketing funnel, and it is my personal favorite, advocacy. So brand advocates, you can call them evangelists, whatever you want, but they're residents who will speak positively about your community and their experience that they've had there. So they're a super powerful resource, and one that you and your communities should work really hard to cultivate. So diving right in, what are some of the best practices or creative examples you have when it comes to creating advocacy, Christy?
Yeah, so our executive directors, we consider them kind of the captains of their ship, all 33 of them. We have them pre-record a video bi-weekly, and we give them some bullet points and actually a script if they'd like to follow it, that talks about all the really good things going on at the community. So we really believe in transparency. So kind of in the middle of the pandemic, we were talking about safety protocols and different things like that, but it has transitioned into more of a what's good at the community. We are a Japanese-owned company, and we believe in Yoi Shigoto, which is the good work. And so we want to share all the good things going on at our communities on it started off as a weekly basis during, again, the height of the pandemic, but it really is tailored off to bi-weekly. And that's really showcasing how much they love the community and all the good work that's still going on. So they are absolutely the leader of their ship. And so that's a way that we utilize, again, video, as much as we can, to really showcase the good stuff going on at the community.
Awesome. Love that. So something a lot of folks in the audience might be thinking right now is, okay, that's cool. Square one, how do I build an advocate and keep them engaged in the community?
I think that, there's so many different ways. I think it is making sure that I think it's asking for them to be advocates. Truthfully, it's asking for feedback online, whether it's Yelp or whether it's Google My Business or whether it's on our Facebook page. So it's just truly asking, because when someone says, hey, mom had a really great day because she did X, Y, and Z, and she's telling you that, ask her to leave that feedback online. We received so many positive reviews during the pandemic, and that surprised me because I didn't know people wanted to give that positive feedback while the world is kind of shutting down around them. But people were looking for ways to really thank our team members for doing the good work and thank our residents for hanging in there. And so I think that asking for feedback on online reviews is a really great way. But also, I think the easiest way to create advocates is to deliver on your promises. And that way, it really is kind of the whole sales cycle as well. So you have awareness all the way to this advocacy, but it doesn't stop when they move in. It really is delivering on your promises and making sure you're providing a top-notch experience from day one.
Love that. And you're right.
That branding feeling has moved all the way down to the frontline staff, right? And that shows up in the review. And so before I was in digital marketing, I spent 8 years in hospitality, hotel management. And one of the best ways to get any sort of review is just to have that human connection, right? Thank you for staying. Obviously, it's a different talk track, but thank you for staying. Would you mind leaving us a review online, right? And in senior living, again, this is another good example of where the human-to-human contact is always going to remain. Your ED, your staff is going to have access to residents and their families, and they're going to understand that. So when you have that human connection, it makes it really easy for you to say, oh, would you mind leaving a review on there? And the family's going to be happy to, because the resident's taken care of. Again, the feeling branding has come all the way from an awareness on a digital platform down to actual frontline humans talking to residents.
Right. It's also utilizing video to showcase our residents doing something really awesome and then sending it to the families so they can also participate and see that too. So it's not just keeping all the fun and excitement within the four walls, it's spreading that as much as you can, and utilizing our website not only as an attractive lead generator, but it really is a communication tool for families as well.
Definitely. Love that. And you're right. Using video or just personalizing the process doesn't stop after the move-in. Stephanie from OneDay is going to drop a blog in the chat of 4 videos you can make once someone signs in or moves in. So be on the lookout for that in the chat. But it looks like right now we are a little bit over, we're at 46 minutes, and that time just flew by. So huge shout out to Christy, Craig, everyone on the G5 and MBK teams for making this webinar possible. And Christy, thanks for just being an open book and transparent and vulnerable, sharing what you and your awesome team has been doing this past year in the ever-changing buyer's journey of senior living.